All right, everyone. We are back for episode 53 of Stub Love Live. 53 episodes, man. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching and paying attention and coming on and giving us support. All right, I see Ticket History's asking to be in. Let me get him in.
All right.
All right, Chase, how you doing, man?
I'm in.
You're
Good.
Let me go ahead and get Tom in. I don't see Tom has asked me to be in yet. I can ask him. I'm going to ask you, Tom, to come in now. Let's fingers crossed. But I did ask him.
We got him. There
Hey,
he
what's
is.
going on?
There he is. All right. We
What's on
got you.
what's on his shirt? What is he wearing?
My Gotham roller derby
Nice.
shirt. So I told you, I'm an amateur sports photographer. I photograph roller derby.
I love it. That is great.
Great.
Wow.
That's awesome. So we got a lot of people on here. I Collect Tickets, Sean Daugherty, Wheeler's Collectibles, Justin Wheeler. I see we got Tickets for Days. We got Taylor Hamilton on. Got a lot of people on. So it's going to be a fun show. I tell everyone, I get most nervous when I have the shows with Chase and Tom. Because, these guys, they know a lot of stuff about tickets. And these guys are dedicated. I mean, if you're a ticket collector or you follow the world of tickets and you're on IG, man, the first thing I look for every morning is my daily Chase post from Ticket History and my daily Tom post from TKD Tickets, and just kind of makes my morning.
I
So
think
thank you so much.
we have too much time on our hands, maybe.
Yeah, probably.
You guys are doing a great job for us, and we
I got
appreciate it.
the vintage cameras behind for this episode,
Yeah, I see it.
Oh, I've got mine over my shoulder here.
Ah,
There you
that's
go.
I
perfect.
can go grab them.
So I see we got RP Tickets on, we got Rob Pagan on, so we're always excited when Rob comes on live and isn't doing something more important in his life. So we always appreciate that. You see, you guys drew him on. You guys drew him on live.
Oh, that's good.
So one of the things that Tom and Chase came to me about, they're like, look, we've got ideas for shows. And I love good ideas for shows, especially topics that are meaningful to the ticket world, meaningful to me, and meaningful to other people. So one of the great things that, we all as ticket collectors look for is, little special niches that we can make a part of our, independent ticket journeys. And I don't remember who it was. It was Tom or Chase, but I think kind of uniformly you were like, hey, we've got a great idea for a show. How about we take iconic photographic moments in sports and let's show off tickets to those events? So I was like, yeah, I have some. And, Tom had some, Chase had some. So I think we've pulled out some pretty good tickets from some pretty famous photographs that kind of stand on their own. So whose idea was it? Who's taking credit?
I think I think it might have been Tom, but
I think it kind
yeah,
of happened organically. We were
yeah.
talking about ideas for shows.
We because I think we were talking about a three-part series, and one of the parts was going to be photographs. I mean, I think the cool thing about this episode is that obviously this list is by no means exhaustive. There's some incredible photos out there from sports events, and the thing that kind of got me thinking was like when I started doing some more work on the photographers, Tom obviously gave me a lot of homework to do before this show. But I started looking at some of these photographers and some of the other events that they had photographed, and it's just kind of really amazing. It's like, did they end up at this event just at the right time to get that photograph? Or, did the event become so iconic that their photo kind of rode that wave? I mean, it's just, a combination of two really awesome things, and I'm really excited about some of the ones that we're going to show tonight.
Yeah, so am I, Chase. Absolutely. And we were talking a little bit before the show with such an uptick in the collectability of photographs. Type 1 photographs, well, all types of photographs, but even, the type 1 PSA slab photographs, they have become so collectible recently, and the prices are just dramatic.
Yeah.
To be able to say, well, I may have the photo or I don't have the photo, but I have a ticket from the event that photo was taken at. I think that's pretty special. I mean, what do you think, Tom?
Yeah, I mean, I think photography and sports has kind of gone hand in hand, for as long as I can remember. And I think one thing I noticed as we're kind of curating the show is how we've certainly changed the way we consume sports, over my lifetime,
Yeah.
and I think video has really supplanted the still image as kind of that iconic, how we remember those iconic moments. So it was interesting to go back, and I think it all links to what you're saying about the new collectability of photographs.
Yeah, and I'll say this to you, Tom. It really has changed. We don't really think about it like we did back even when we were younger, but certainly not back from, the 30s, the 40s, and the 50s. But I'm going to surprise you because I have my one mystery photograph that I wouldn't share with you guys, including, a corresponding ticket or pass that goes with it. And I'll give a little bit away. It's a modern day photograph.
Mm.
And it actually has, been indelible in my head as a fan and other fans. It will be something we will never forget. And in fact, and I don't want you to guess, but I've actually seen that photograph on T-shirts
Mm.
recently. So,
Yeah.
it has changed, but at the same time, if the photo is that iconic, it's still incredibly meaningful to sports fans. And if we can go ahead and kind of curate tickets to go along with that or something to go along with it, that would be really
Yeah,
cool. Moving forward.
you think about the photo too, like back in the day, it was used for a newspaper, right? Basically, like there was no internet for a lot of these events. There was really no video. So they had the photograph. It was printed in the newspaper the next day. And the newspaper editor, if they didn't send a photographer there, they ultimately decided which photo was going to go in. So the photo being iconic is because all of these people selected that as the image they wanted to share either on the cover of a magazine or, in the newspaper that really made it special.
The other thing, part of the homework that I did too, and it was just kind of, part of searching for the images and the photographers that took them was it's just crazy that some of these photographers, different time periods, different events, different sports, and it's the same photographer. And you'll see I kind of featured 3 tickets to 3 photographs. I didn't know when I first looked at it, the same photographer took them all. And they're like super iconic. But at the
Yeah.
same time, I had no idea that there was an association to it. So very cool. So we've been talking already for 8 minutes. Like I could just talk to you guys forever. So who wants to start? Who wants to start the first one?
Let's give it a Tom.
All right, Tom.
All right, so let's see, Howard. You have the photographs, right?
I do. I have it. So you start talking.
So the first one I chose was the YA Tittle iconic photo, his agony of defeat photo.
Yep.
And I think so. This is kind of an interesting story behind this photo where there's really two very similar images by two different photographers. And I think that is the one by Morris Berman, if I remember correctly. And I think the other one where he's looking up is by Dozier Mobley.
Such an iconic moment. The bloodied head. I mean, you see it featured by the NFL even today in all of the previews to the big games. So super iconic moment. And I think, Tom, pretty tough ticket too. Am I correct?
And this one, it was surprising how tough it was. And I know there's two varieties of it. I've seen kind of this version with the two colors, and I've seen one that is I think orange. I think one color more like a general admission type ticket, And this was one that was on eBay for a while, which I thought was at a high price. And I finally decided, you know, when I couldn't find the others, that I was gonna buy it. And I think it was, you know, $300, $400, something like that. It was pretty expensive, but now that now that I have it, I don't see many out there, you know, as you mentioned.
I don't either. You know, it's just crazy. You look at this photo and you can just see so much of what Tittle's going through. You know, I mean, you could just see like the physical yet mental torture and pain on this guy's face, and the blood and the dirtied uniform, and he's on his knees. It's almost like he's praying. I mean, it's such an indelible moment, and such a nostalgic moment of a piece of NFL history. And it's a great one, Tom. I'm grateful that you started the show off with such a good one, and also such a rare ticket. So I'll pass it over to Chase. What's
Yeah,
your
well,
lead?
I was gonna say there's no one, you know, there's no other players in that photo either, which is like amazing to think about, right? So, you know, they get this shot of him and he's just solitary in the end zone and bloody. It's just yeah, it's an awesome image.
So I was going to show, I found the original
Oh
photograph,
wow.
and you can kind of see
Yeah.
how there are players around him that were edited out. And then there was, I think it was this
Oh
photo, where you see the
wow.
Steelers lineman with his hand on his shoulder, which was the one that the Pittsburgh Gazette ran.
Oh,
Because
nice. Yeah.
they saw, you know, there was more players in here. They didn't like this one with the solitary figure. So it kind of links back to what you're saying about, you know, the editor deciding what we saw,
Yeah.
and then this photo became famous, you know, that year when it won a sports award, and then years later it's become this iconic photo.
Yeah, and I mean the ticket is famous because of the photo, right? Like
Yep.
I think without the photo, I mean, you know, who knows if people want to collect that ticket, but yeah, it's pretty awesome.
It's also
All right.
pretty cool. Before you show your, I mean, it's
Yeah,
also pretty cool that PSA puts Agony a defeat on the
definitely.
flip.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And
Very
what
cool. That
they probably wouldn't put that anymore. They'll just put whatever they feel like it, but it's not
Hey,
this is
now
not a PSA show.
that's
I'm a
not
little
this
bitter.
show.
I'm a little bitter today.
no dumping
No,
on them today.
no, not at all. All right, so my next one is this ticket right here. It's from Tom Landry's last game. And you know, I think the iconic silhouette image was taken by a gentleman named Paul Mosley. This actually made the list of 100 greatest photos in NFL history. You know, Agony and Defeat is on there, and some other ones are on there. But you know, I think the interesting thing about this particular image is number one, like at the time you're developing film, right? So you don't really know like what you have, and the photographer was, you know, shooting directly into sunlight and shadows kind of all day, and he was tasked with following Landry around because it was his last game, and you know, Jerry Jones buys the team and fires Landry, and you know, this is right before the 1989 season, 1988, but Landry's kind of like the iconic coach who was the inaugural Cowboys coach from the beginning, and you know, won two Super Bowls, and it's this kind of changing of the guard moment. And so they assign a photographer, which it doesn't really happen, I don't think, today, to basically follow Landry around all game and like try to get a photo of him, right? And he ends up getting this photo. And you know, I think just the silhouette like image is just this thing that because it's his last game, like it has this kind of like magnitude there because you know, of just like the darkness of the photo and his hat, which is so iconic.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I mean, you kind of fast forward, right? Jimmy Johnson comes in, they draft Troy Aikman. It's really the changing of the Cowboys franchise at that time. And it kind of pairs well, obviously, with this ticket, which is the Troy Aikman, Jimmy Johnson first game, you know, from the 1989 season. And obviously the Cowboys, you know, go on to, you know, win a few Super Bowls and in the 90s and, you know, obviously haven't done much since, which is good as a Giants fan. But yeah, it's just kind of an iconic image at an iconic time, really, in the Cowboys franchise.
You know, I got to tell you, when you look at this image, you know, you got to think how many pictures were taken of Tom Landry where they weren't taken directly into the sun and they didn't have this silhouette appearance. Thousands of pictures that day of him,
Hmm.
and this one's just so special and different and magical. And I don't know. I mean, I wonder if the photographer knew what he was doing, but it almost looks like it should go on like a penny or like a quarter.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it almost looks
Right,
like,
right.
like it's so special, it's so meaningful. It should be on like Dallas
It should be
Cowboys.
on
Yeah.
the
Well, it reminds me.
Cowboys
Yeah,
Yeah,
cryptocurrency.
there you go. Yeah,
exactly. Well, it kind of reminds me of those, old school like silhouette images in the 1800s of like Lincoln, right?
yeah,
It looks like that really, and it's just a crazy image. Like he didn't, the photographer didn't really know if he had anything because you have to go and develop the film like hours after the game, right? And like imagine your surprise when something like that is popping up like all day long. You're shooting into direct sunlight or darkness. You don't really know what you have, and then you kind of come up with that. So I think he was very surprised to have gotten the image, but also then equally as surprised when it was selected as the one of the top 100 photos in NFL history, which is really a massive achievement. I mean, I think you're in there with some of these iconic NFL moments. I think that photo kind of stands out.
I agree. I agree. Great choice, Chase. I like it. Even though I don't like the Cowboys or Tom Landry, I think it's a good selection. Um, I'm gonna go because I kind of feel like if you're doing a ticket show about memorable photographs and then you're associating the tickets, you've got to start with one of the classics. And I'm gonna go with Babe Bows Out. The Nat Fine image of Babe bowing out, and it shows this. It's the day that they retired. The Yankees retired Babe Ruth's jersey, and you have the older, kind of worn down Babe Ruth leaning on the bat to hold himself up. And the crazy thing is, they asked Nat Fine about this, and he was like, I could have taken the photograph like everybody else. And if you see all these other photographers, they're taking it from the front. And he takes the picture. He's like, no, I want to see the number. I want to see the crown. I want to see it this way. And that's why it's so different and so special. And Nat Fine captures the image from behind, and it becomes one of the most legendary photographs in the history of sports. And obviously, incorporating the ticket's incredibly special. It's a ticket that's a grail for me. It's got a rough cut on the bottom, but I love it that it has that rough cut. PSA was good enough to give me the Babe Bows Out and the Yankees retire #3. So for me, this is not just a grail ticket, but the photograph and capturing the two things together, it doesn't get any better than this in my world.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of happy to lead with that one as kind of like one of the most iconic photographs that I can recall in sports.
Yeah, and you were talking about the price of photos. I mean, the price of that photo has just gone up astronomically.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it is now, but type ones that are PSA slabbed in good shape, boy oh boy, those are going for big dollars.
Hmm.
So I'd much rather have the ticket. I mean,
Yeah, definitely.
I like type ones; they're cool. But if I bought a reproduction and it was $4 and $5 and I
Yeah.
put that with the ticket, I mean, I'd much rather have the ticket. But that's just me. I understand the collectability of photographs. I wish everyone well in everything that they collect. I'm not one of these guys that's I'm just a ticket guy or a ticket snob, but it's not for me. Not that kind of value, not those kind of numbers, but still pretty cool. So Tom, you're up. You're up for #2. If we keep talking like this, we're going to be here all night. And we could be here all night, and I would love to, but I don't know if
Do
anyone would watch.
volume 2 tomorrow.
Right.
So my next tickets, I actually have 2 of them. So this is Derek Jeter's last game at Yankee Stadium. So iconic moment, his last game, the captain, and in Derek Jeter fashion, everything lined up for him to come up with the game on the line in the bottom of the 9th inning, and he hits that walk-off single. I think it was his first walk-off hit in years, but he rose to the occasion, and I wanted to include a more modern photo and ticket in here. So these tickets are very common. And that photo, I think, captures Derek Jeter looking back towards his teammates in the first base dugout. And also a shout out to the photographer. So Anthony Causey was the photographer, and he was a famous New York area sports photographer, and he unfortunately passed away. We're coming up on the 5-year anniversary. He passed away from COVID, and he was so beloved in New York sports teams that the Yankees have a plaque honoring him and the photographer as well. And the Jets and Giants named their photographer's room in his honor. And throughout New Jersey, there were 6 billboards the month he passed away that had his photograph in memoriam. So
Wow.
he was, he was a well-loved photographer through the area. And, we don't think of iconic photographers anymore, but they're out there.
You see, Chase, you got to come big with Tom Daly, man.
I know.
Homework. He's got.
I mean, that's research. That's serious research.
I like Derek Jeter. I'm not a Yankees fan, and I'm not really a New York sports fan at all. But I like winners. I like Derek Jeter. I like Tim Tebow. I like guys that won and won the right way. So I like that photo, and I like that ticket. Case, you're up. What's number 2 for you?
All right. So we got the 1985 Euro Cup final. It's actually a pretty tough ticket, but just crazy image. I mean, as you can see on the screen, it's before the game. Basically, the Juventus and Liverpool fans kind of escalate into this crazy attack and fight, and the Liverpool fans push the Juventus fans up against this wall, and the stadium, the Heysel Stadium, had failed their inspection prior to the match, and the wall actually shortly, after this photo was taken, actually collapses. Unfortunately, 39 people were killed and over 600 people were injured. And the photographer, his name is Eamon McCabe. He took the photo, snapped 2 quick shots right before the wall collapsed, and he kind of got out of the way. And, he was kind of quoted later on saying that within 30 minutes, he went from being a sports photographer to a news photographer, and was just a photographer from the Observer from Belgium. And, at the time was like a huge deal to, be taking photos of this match, and to be assigned to the match, and obviously never knew, what was going to happen. So, I think like 14 people were arrested and sentenced to 6 years in jail, over the attack. The I think all English football clubs were banned until basically like 1990 or 1991. So 6 years banned from like competing in these events. So McCabe went on to be the editor of The Guardian from 1988 to 2001. And he actually won News Photographer of the Year 1985 for that photo.
It's a great photo. It really is. I mean, you can see the pain and the feelings on these people's faces. I mean, look at the kid in the front. I mean, you can just tell he's getting squished for dear life. I mean, what a great photograph. What a great photograph.
How do you find that ticket?
Man, you're asking
Hey,
the master.
let me tell you, Tom,
stuff.
how do I find it? Well, I don't think people knew too much about the photo, but I did find it online, and I actually do have 2 in varying conditions. So very tough ticket to find because I'll show you here. One of the things you can see at the top here, this part right here is sometimes ripped off for some reason. So like you can see they cut it on a diagonal, like that's where the stub was.
Mm-hmm.
But the other part is like ripped off sometimes over here, so there's no date or no like finale on it, so you don't really know what the ticket could have been for anything. So I think sometimes it just goes unknown because you can't really see, there's no date on it.
Good to know. I like the ticket. I like that it's rare, and I like that you found it, Chase. That's a good one. That's a good one. My next one, I'm gonna kind of stick with the iconic, Willie Mays and the catch. 1954 World Series doesn't get much more iconic in baseball than this. Makes the over the shoulder basket catch, wheels around, spins, and throws the ball in. It's everything Willie Mays, and it's probably Willie's greatest moment that's captured on film, and it's just so legendary. Not a rare ticket. And my copy is a 1.5, and it's not necessarily the greatest copy, but it's nice. It's funny. These tickets have kind of taken off a little bit. Prices have gone up. I remember when these tickets were $50, and signed ones of Willie Mays, they're going for crazy numbers now.
Definitely.
This photo was taken by Frank Hurley, and it's been signed so many thousands upon thousands of times by Willie Mays and seen by so many people. It's really remarkable how popular that image is, and I think as much of a moment that World Series are, people collect the '54 World Series ticket, and they collect that because of Willie Mays. I think more people want that ticket than the clincher.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
To be honest with you. All right, Mr. Daly, you're up. What's number 3?
All right, I'm up with an image, not a photograph, but a painting.
It's a great painting. I've seen it in so many bars and restaurants my whole life.
The Dempsey versus Firpo painting, and this is the ticket from 1923, and this was a famous fight. So Luis Firpo was the first South American boxer to challenge for the world title, and you can see here he was the underdog, but he rose up and he knocked Dempsey out of the ring. It was very controversial because the deck was kind of stacked against Firpo, so apparently the media helped Dempsey back into the ring, and it took longer than 10 seconds. He really should have been disqualified, but he he was fighting against the entire country here. But this ticket, I don't see many of these. I found this one that you can see was kind of taped up here, and the one thing about this painting is when I go to the Whitney Museum in New York, that's where that painting is hanging. So you go up the elevator doors open, and you're looking right at that painting, and it's huge. It's probably around 4 by 6 feet, and it's so imposing when you see it. And like you said, it's in lots of bars. The fight makes an appearance in the Rocky movies. Mickey talks about it. So I think for 50 years,
Tom,
this was.
I wasn't sure you were going to bring that up, but I remember Mickey talking about it. He said, I knocked the guy out, knocked him through the ropes, and it was the same night Dempsey knocked Firpo through the ropes. Am I correct?
You're right.
Does make the movie.
I'd like to see Tom holding a photo of the ticket in front of the painting at the museum.
We need that.
Yeah, we
Tom,
do need that.
Tom?
I can arrange that.
Yes.
Not tonight, but I can arrange that for sure.
We're going to hold you to it, Tom. I like that one. That's a great ticket. I've looked for that ticket a bunch and have missed on it a few times, but it's a good one. It's a good one. And again, I don't really know that much about Dempsey Firpo. You know more about other fights with Dempsey, but that's a real important one just because of the photo and the painting.
For 50 years, it was considered the fight of the century until the 70s, and Ali and Frazier came along. But it was a big sporting event for a long time in American history. Yep,
agreed. All right, Chase, you're up.
Okay, yeah, I think I have the photo for this one. So this is the Ben Hogan 1-iron. It's on the cover of the book, The Miracle at Merion, which really does accurately describe what this was. So the 1950 U.S. Open, Ben Hogan's first, tournament after a vicious car crash where he was hit by a bus and almost died. He dove over his wife in the passenger seat. So the only way he survived, and plays in the 1950 U.S. Open, is, by the 12th hole, basically like almost can't walk, almost decides to quit on the 13th on the last round. They had to play in the U.S. Open. They used to play 36 holes on the last day. So just a grueling, last day of a tournament for a guy who, only a year earlier was in a crazy car crash, like bedridden in a hospital. And on the 18th, hits a 1-iron, which is an extremely tough shot. And they get that image, which is arguably, I'd say, probably one of the most famous golf images out there. I think everyone kind of recognizes that photo when they see it. They might not know exactly where it's from, but he forces a playoff after hitting the 1-iron shot, and then he ends up, winning the 1950 U.S. Open in a playoff. So I'll show you the ticket. This is a really rare ticket. I think it's a pop two actually, in PSA. But this is for the full tournament. So it says, right here, playoff if any. So it includes the playoff. Kind of a crazy story. I mean, we could go down the rabbit hole on this, but the photographer's name is Hy Peskin, and he basically like didn't take a single photo the entire final round, and decided that he was going to stand behind where everyone else was in front, just similar to your Babe Bows Out photo, so kind of going against the grain. And he snaps this photo, and like, if you think about the cameras back then, it wasn't like these stop motion cameras where you could just snap off like a bunch of photos, like you're hoping that you get it in focus and that it's not blurry. And he gets it like at the crest of his swing, and it's just like just an absolutely incredible image, like with the fans around him. Very reminiscent of that photo of Tiger Woods. I actually posted it today on my Instagram, and to the 2001 Masters. Photographers are really not allowed to stand behind the golfers anymore. So you're not really going to get many photos like that again. And yeah, it's just incredible. So, I mean, just a quick tangent on this, and I'll talk about it quickly, but he after like, so basically his whole story is really, really interesting, but he's taken like a lot of, I didn't really know like his name at the time, because he actually changed his name later on, and he's taken like a lot of incredible photos. So he took the Ted Williams SI tribute cover when he passed away, a pretty famous photo. He's got the Life magazine JFK image, and he actually, one of the reasons he changed his name, this is absolutely wild. After the research I did, I found, like, read this, I couldn't believe it. But he was actually at the Ali Liston 2 fight, and his camera lights malfunctioned, so he got nothing. And SI basically blacklisted him, because obviously there's an iconic image that kind of came out of that fight, which I think Tom may or may not be showing later. And SI basically blacklisted him, so he changed his name to Brian Blaine Reynolds. And I think it was a combination of his son's names or something like that. But yeah, just kind of a crazy story, just like taking some iconic images and then kind of fading into obscurity.
I'm going to say this. I have a few Grail tickets in my world, and some of them are like everyone else's Grails. The Jackie debut, and everyone wants a Wilt 100, and everyone would love to have a Lou Gehrig, speech ticket. But that's one on my list, Chase. And I got to tell you, it's a tough, tough ticket.
Yeah.
High and low. And good for you. That's a great ticket. I've always told you, Chase, that's one that I would love to have in my collection. It's a
You
great,
know,
great.
I like to pair tickets with books. So we talk about pairing with photos, but if there's a book written about a ticket, I like to own that as well. And this is a great book. I mean, very much worth the read, if you want to learn some interesting things about Ben Hogan. And yeah, the ticket is like, this is one of my favorite tickets. I'll tell you that right now.
Don't sleep on golf. Don't sleep
No,
on
don't sleep on golf, but don't tell anyone about it either, because I'm still
Yeah,
collecting golf tickets.
don't get PSA 10s either.
Yeah.
Don't get PSA 10s on your master's
So
badges.
my next one is an image as a Philadelphia Eagles fan. It's just super iconic. And this is the 1960 season when Chuck Bednarik lays out Frank Gifford at the end of the game, and the Eagles win that game. And Gifford is now out for basically an entire season because the hit was like a Mack truck ran into Gifford. And it's funny, I have this image signed by Chuck Bednarik, and he writes on it, "This effing game is over." And he signs it, and then he writes next to Gifford, "Sorry, Frank." And I actually remember years ago when I was a younger autograph chaser asking Frank Gifford to sign the photograph. and Gifford saying to me, "Son, I almost died in that photograph. I'm not going to be able to sign that. I'll sign anything else you have." He was
Wow.
a very nice guy, but yeah, he would never sign the image, and I think really it was because it really almost ended Frank Gifford's career. So very iconic football image. I can hear Concrete Charlie saying, "This effing game is over." Here's the here's the ticket. I won't say who I got this from because he's on the show. They grade, but I did get it reslabbed so that it has a grade. It didn't grade all that high. It graded a 2, but I think it's a very low pop. And for a
Yeah.
Philadelphia Eagles fan and a Philadelphia sports fan, I got to tell you, I gave up a lot. I gave up too much for it, but
That's
but
a tough ticket, though.
it sits very nicely in my collection, and I'm so happy to have it. So Gifford takes out. I'm sorry, Bednarik takes out Gifford is my next pick. So Tom, you're up.
All right, so I have another famous photo from Yankee Stadium. So this is the Mickey Mantle, the famous photo of him throwing his helmet, and here's the ticket, the John Dominus photo of Mickey Mantle, and this was really kind of the start of the decline of Mickey Mantle. And Life magazine sent a photographer out and ran a story about Mickey Mantle and his decline. And one of the things you'll see, you can see in the background the full stadium, and that was one of the key things to dating that photo, because it went back to Bat Day, one of the few sellout crowds that the Yankees had that season. And I read an essay about how they actually worked to identify the game from this photo, because there's nothing really to link that photo to this ticket. And this is a ticket that's really, I think, taken off in popularity when the association to the photo is made. So I was able to get this ticket when that association wasn't well known. So it wasn't very expensive for me, but now I think it's really gone up in price. So it's Bat Day, so it shouldn't be a hard ticket to find, but it's really gone up in value.
Well, how crazy is Bat Day that they used to hand out regulation size bats before the game? I mean, pretty wild stuff.
To dirty New Yorkers too.
Yeah, not smart.
Come on, they were 13-year-old kids.
What does yours say, Tom? Life magazine bat toss or helmet toss? I'm sorry.
It does say Life magazine pick tossing helmet.
Great.
And
Great.
then
So
Yeah.
they put that on the cover of the 100 photos of baseball SI too, which I think, if you're choosing out of 100 baseball photos for, as long as baseball's been around, choosing that photo for your cover, it says something about, how awesome that photo is.
Just look at the poor Mick. Man, he was devastated.
it's a great photo. And Dominus, he was, a Life magazine photographer. He was, off in Korea shooting war photos, and then Life magazine says, "You're going to go shoot Mickey Mantle for a weekend." So that's what he does. So
That's great.
kind of like you said, Chase, these guys, make iconic photos, wherever they're shooting.
Yeah. Or they find themselves just the magic of the moment. Somehow they're always there. And that kind of segues into my next one, which is the catch. Another iconic photo, another catch photo. This is obviously the 1981 NFC Championship game. It's a, insanely famous photo and moment. Number 2, I think, on the NFL's list of 100 greatest games. And yeah, I mean, I guess we'll go to the photographer, Walter Yost Jr., who, has that guy taken some iconic images? It's just absolutely incredible. Like his career, the number of SI covers that he had. I think he started when he was 16 years old. He looked through his first camera at a Giants game, and was kind of like bitten by the bug of photography. And yeah, I mean, it's just he's taken, some of the ones he's taken was the Jordan on the blue, he's the dunk. That's just an absolutely incredible photo. Look up the list of his photos. It's just absolutely incredible. And, he was saying that on that photo, so he had been tasked with following the Cowboys around all season. And as a kind of like a Cowboys fan just following the team. He was a little devastated by that catch, obviously. But as you know about that play, there were three different ways that play could have gone. And the last way that it went was one of the options was to either throw the ball as high as possible, where only Dwight Clark could catch it, or Montana was just going to throw it away and, regroup on the fourth down. And it ends up, catching this ball, and that was, I think, reprinted in that photo was reprinted in a Kodak advertisement that was kind of shown everywhere. And yeah, he found himself. One of the things he did was, I was reading about this. He went to the end zone in close games. He always liked to plant himself in the end zone because he thought, if something was going to happen, it was going to happen there. He didn't want to be caught on the sideline and miss anything. And yeah, he didn't even know, like back to some of the other ones when he developed the photo, he didn't even know if he had Dwight Clark in the frame or if it was in focus or whatever. And yeah, it turned into one of the most iconic images. So we got to show the ticket, and not just any ticket, but a full PSA 10, which is the only one that's graded PSA 10. So just crazy awesome ticket. And for a guy who collects NFL's greatest 100 greatest games, that's one that you have to have.
That's a good one.
That's a great ticket.
I'm blown away by that ticket. Let me see that again. Man, great guy. Shows the Merion Ben Hogan ticket and then this. Wow. Holy smoke.
This is a good show. Hopefully you get some views.
That's just wild. That's just wild. And just a quick little point. If you think if after the show you want to listen to that play on YouTube, just listen to the voice of who's calling the game, because famous Vince Scully.
Yeah, incredible.
Cool. All the way around, very cool. So my next one, a classic, Neil Leifer, Muhammad Ali with the Bolo Phantom Punch in the second fight against Sonny Liston, his first fight as Muhammad Ali in Maine. And I got to tell you, it doesn't get any better than this. And he's kind of like growling at Liston. He knocks out the bear, and the rest is history. The rest is really history. And Neil Leifer talks about the fact that the image, he just got so lucky, because you can see other photographers, if you look, they just got the wrong side of where Ali was. He just got lucky. And he said that it was a small venue with good lighting and a lot of cigar smoke. And that kind of made the air perfect for it to be this phenomenally popular classic image. And man, it's just ingrained in all of our minds. I mean, if you're a sports fan or a boxing fan, you know that image. And of course it made, Sports Illustrated's greatest sports photos issue, and it's on the cover. The good thing about the ticket is it's a fairly common ticket. I don't think a lot of people went to the fight, but it's a great ticket. This one's in a pretty good grade, but very easy to collect. And I would tell everyone, if you're a ticket collector and you want an iconic moment from an iconic figure in sports, and maybe one of the biggest fights in boxing history, this is one you got to own. It's an arm and a leg, and there's multiple colors, and great ticket, just a great ticket. And I recommend everyone going out and trying to put that one in their collection. It's very doable. Now
you know the story behind Hy Peskin as well, and how SI basically blacklisted him after missing that iconic image. So pretty cool.
Poor Hy.
Well, that Ali photo is considered one of the best photos of the 20th century. So not a sports photo, but just a photograph in general.
It's crazy. When I was researching it, you can still go on Neil Leifer's site, and he'll sell you, one of them on his site. It's just a print of his photo, but if you get it directly from him, I think it was like $5,000.
Yeah, he signs them. He signs them, yeah.
So there you go. All right, Tom, you're up. This is a great photo, by the way. This is amazing.
So next ticket I have is a pretty common ticket. So Game 7, 1960 World Series, Bill Mazeroski's walk-off home run. So baseball fans know this story. They know this history. This ticket is autographed by Mazeroski. But I'm not sure if people, I think that's a very iconic photo, but people may not realize that it is that moment, the walk-off home run in the 1960 World Series. And this, I did my research, like Chase did his research. So George Silk was the photographer, and he was an immigrant, and he worked for Life magazine, and he did not know baseball. He was not a baseball fan. He didn't like crowds. He didn't like noise. So what did he do? He found the Cathedral of Learning at the University of Pittsburgh, and he went up in this tower, and he looked around different hallways, and he found this balcony that was overlooking the stadium, and he happened to find this small group of students that he can see they can kind of see most of the stadium, but apparently they were listening on transistor radio as well. So that was how they kind of pieced together what they were watching with what was happening. And he just happened to be there at that moment of that home run, and he snuck out unnoticed. And I was reading about one of the guys in the photo that didn't even realize he was in this photograph till 20 years later when he looked at it and said, "I think that's me in there." So it's become one of the iconic Life magazine photos of baseball, and just kind of that innocence of what baseball was back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, super cool. I've seen that photo a lot, and obviously before all this, I wasn't really entirely sure where that photo was from, but they show that a lot as kind of like this iconic image of baseball and fans celebrating and everything. It's pretty awesome.
I got to tell you, I printed out these pictures for the show, and this was the one that stopped me. Because even though I'd seen it before, I hadn't seen it up close, and I actually looked at it, and I wasn't so sure the history behind it. But what a great photo! It's awesome.
Yeah,
It's a great one.
definitely.
Great choice. Chase, you're
All
up.
right, cool. Yeah, this one's a quick one, but I think you have the Joe Namath fur coat. Is that the one you have? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, good. And we'll show the ticket. It's a ticket that I don't think many people really know about. I did a little bit of research on it to find out about it. So this is the 1971 Jets Colts game, and Joe Namath is photographed on the sidelines wearing a white fur coat and some pretty awesome 1970s pants, some bell bottoms and funky pattern, but it became this iconic image. I mean, Joe Namath obviously is kind of known for his flair, and kind of brought the fur coat back at the 2014 Super Bowl when he did the coin flip. He wore this insane fur coat that Phil Simms tried on, and it became a big thing. And PETA eventually auctioned one of his old fur coats for charity and all this stuff, and told him that he should wear fake fur, and obviously it was all real. But yeah, that image I think kind of stands out as his just character nature as he was playing the game. And here he is injured, and on the sidelines he's wearing this crazy fur coat, which obviously would not happen today. They'd be in a suit and tie probably, or something like that, but or some dress down like pants or something. But yeah, so the photographer, I believe, was Dan Farrell of the Daily News, and he did a lot of stuff in the New York sports area. A lot of Mets games at Shea. He actually photographed the 1965 Beatles at Shea Stadium. So there's an iconic photo that he took of all the fans there, and I think his most famous photo, which probably a lot of people wouldn't know, is JFK Jr.'s salute at the funeral.
Huge.
Yeah, huge photo, right? And yeah, he actually was like finished number two. He was a number two finalist for the Pulitzer that year, and the photo that beat him out was the Ruby shooting Oswald photo. So that beat him out for the Pulitzer that year. But yeah, just an iconic photographer who's taken a lot of great photos, and was happened to be at a Jets game and snap a few photos of Joe Namath wearing a fur coat on the sidelines.
Let's see the ticket, Chase. Can you show it up? Yeah.
And I believe both of you guys own one, and might be partly thanks to me.
He's taking all the credit.
Yeah, there you
You
go.
know, when I look at the image, I got to tell you, all I think is Broadway Joe.
Yeah, exactly. Broadway Joe.
Broadway Joe. So, all right, Tom. I guess. Well, wait. I'm up. I guess I got one
You're
more.
up. You're up. Yeah.
I'm up. So I'm not a real big Dennis Rodman fan. I was never really a Bulls fan or a Lakers fan, but this photograph just captures everything that Dennis Rodman was. I mean, he was all hard work, all hustle, a big time crazy player, but a winner. I mean, the guy won everywhere that he went. And yeah, so the ticket was taken by Sam Forensich, and it's a game against the Pacers. And I've always thought about cracking this and getting it signed by Dennis, but he's so crazy with his autograph. And, I don't know, you probably have to get it signed in silver. So it just complicates everything. So I've always just kind of left it alone. And I think I'm going to leave it be. He's at another signing, and I don't know. I think I'm just going to leave it in there. But they even write on the flip, Dennis Rodman, the dive.
Nice.
So pretty cool ticket. One that, again, I think is pretty meaningful when you look at the photograph. Everyone thinks of Dennis as all hustle, all heart, and that photo captures it. So I like that one. You're up, Tom.
I'm up. So I have a repeat subject and a repeat photographer. So Super Bowl III, Joe Namath. That iconic image of Joe the Thursday before the Super Bowl at his hotel in Fort Lauderdale, and you can see him kind of holding court there, earning his nickname Broadway Joe and guaranteeing a victory. And one of the things about the photo, I don't know if you show off to the side, Howard, but you can see a young Brent Musburger there sitting and looking down at Joe. And Brent was for me, as a kid growing up, the face of football on CBS, and it's it always struck me that he's part of that photo. So
Great one.
Pretty cool.
Great one. It's I can just sit there, yeah, we're gonna win. I guarantee it. Just kind of nonchalantly in that Joe with that Joe Namath accent. It's just so great. And it's a great ticket. And Tom, yours is signed, and Joe's charging a big premium to sign these.
Yeah.
I paid that big premium to get it signed, and I did my research to look at different examples of signed tickets, and what pen I wanted. I know he had a big signature, so I wanted to stay away from an inscription and just have him sign the ticket in that
it came out nice.
Pen.
Yeah, it came out really nice.
Great. Looks awesome.
Who was the photographer again?
Walter Yost.
Oh, it is. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Nice. Yeah. Crazy.
Big names. All right, you're up, Chase. We're cranking along here. We're at 8.
Yeah, I think we're running out of time, but do you have the flu game?
I do.
All right. Let's show that photo. I mean, that is in the time of the ESPN and Sports Center, like I remember, watching that in the morning and hearing the crazy story that, Michael Jordan was getting IVs and was up all night with the flu and ends up scoring 30-something points and willing his team to victory. And Scottie Pippen's kind of walking him off, and they get this photo of him just looking kind of beat down, and incredible performance, incredible game. I mean, we learned in The Last Dance, obviously, that it was not the flu, but happened to be food poisoning with pizza delivered to his room, and he's the only one who eats the pizza. And next thing you know, they call up the trainer, Tim Grover, and Michael Jordan's really sick, and we don't know what to do. So, wasn't sure if he was going to play, but obviously it's Michael Jordan, and he wasn't going to let this game slip by. And so they beat the Utah Jazz on their home court and end up winning the NBA Finals. And there's the ticket. It's full PSA 4, which is top of the pop. I think there's only 4 or 5 fulls in the pop, so pretty tough to find a full. I mean, the game was obviously a massive sellout. And, 2 of the fulls that are out there, this one included, are consecutive seats. So obviously somebody had 2 tickets and wasn't able to attend. And so the other ones that exist are probably very few and far between. And the stubs are actually pretty tough too, because Obviously, if you're a Jazz fan, you kind of were disgusted after you tried to poison Michael Jordan and it failed and you lost the game. You probably tossed your ticket away. So the photographer Andy Haight, Hayt, I think that's how you pronounce it. He was just another legendary sports photographer. He actually had 46 Sports Illustrated covers in his career, and his photos were all over The Last Dance. I mean, he photographed a lot of Bulls games. He actually also took a couple other iconic photos that I saw. So in Kobe's rookie year, there's a picture of him dunking, and he's, kind of got the ball way back here, and it's like up in the air. He's got the small afro. Uh, that's an iconic photo, I think. And he took that one, and then he also took another photo that stands out for me as a Giants fan, with Bill Parcells on the shoulders of the team as they come off the field. I think a lot of people remember that photo. So yeah, he's got some great photos out there.
I'm not so sure so many people remember it. It's been such a long
Uh,
time. Boys.
okay, yeah.
Ah.
Do you have a flu game ticket, Howard? Yeah.
Man, that was rough, Chase. Let me tell you, I'm not sure I'm buying the pizza story, the food poisoning, but I'm
I
just,
don't know. I mean, it's just become this legendary thing. Like, who knows what it was, right? But
I
he
don't know.
was he was definitely sick. I mean, I don't
Maybe,
know.
maybe our boy had a little bit too much fun the night before.
Yeah,
Uh,
maybe.
but whatever, it's still a great moment. It's a great ticket. Great that you have a full. I'd love to put that in my collection one day. I hope to. Um, Next one for me, I'm going to kind of do three together, even though I really am only supposed to have one spot here. But I just want to kind of hurry things up a little bit. But the reason I'm going to kind of put the three together is because all three of these photos were taken by the same photographer, Harry Kabluck. And I got to tell you, I was shocked at how many photos he took that are so iconic in so many different genres of sports. So my first one is the Carlton Fisk 1975 Game 6 home run photograph, Stay Fair, Stay Fair. And he talked about in an interview the fact that he didn't think the photograph was going to come out because the crowd was going so crazy that the platform, the photography platform that he was standing on, was like gyrating and moving so much from the fans going crazy that he didn't think the photo was going to come out. So it's an incredibly iconic photograph, great ticket. This is a full signed by Fisk, just classic 1970s ticket. Goes so well with the photograph. Mr. Kablik also maybe takes one of the most iconic photographs in hockey history, all over the cover of Sports Illustrated. I mean, one of the greatest moments, Miracle on Ice. The USA wins the gold medal in 1980. This is the game to get to the gold medal. They beat the USSR. They beat the Russians. You hear Al Michaels. Do you believe in miracles? Yes, I do. Here's my ticket. This one is actually a stub. Stub's a little more difficult to find than fulls. One of the rare tickets where the fulls are more common. Mine also signed by Michael Ruzioni. So a really, really cool ticket. And then Mr. Kablik just kind of finishes off with, why not take also one of the iconic moments in football? Let's just show this trifecta off. And he's taking pictures of Franco Harris making the Immaculate reception. So, I mean, holy moly, three of the most iconic moments in varying different sports taken by one photographer. What a great pairing to put that together. And then lucky enough to get Franco Harris to sign it before he tragically passes away at a relatively young age. So happy to kind of have that represented in my collection. So, Tom, you're up. You got a couple more, Tom. We have three each. So you want to try to bang out the three kind of quickly, or two of the three kind of quickly, and then we'll
Yeah,
do one more round.
I'll do
Yeah,
two. I'll just do two.
two quick ones.
Yeah, you go, Tom.
All right, I'll do two quick ones here. So another iconic hockey photo. So the Bobby Orr flying goal, and this was I think this is another case where the photo makes the moment, because this was a Stanley Cup Finals, but the Bruins were winning 3-0, and it really they ended up sweeping the Blues. And Ray Lucier, who took this photo, he thought about, where do I want to be in overtime? And he said, if anything's going to happen, the Bruins win, that's the exciting moment. If the Blues win, nobody's going to care. So the Globe photographer was off getting a beer, so he took his spot and snapped that photo for overtime. And this ticket is, those Boston Garden ticket takers were really rough on those tickets back in the day.
Really were, yeah.
I know this is a ticket that's on a lot of want lists for hockey collectors.
For all collectors.
Well, I'm going to tell you this, Tom. This is also a statue of Bobby Orr outside of the Boston Garden now, or whatever the arena is called. It's always the Garden to me, but outside the Boston Arena. So that's another assignment you have, Tom. Next time that you're up, you got to bring that ticket and take a picture of it outside the stadium by the statue. But it's a pretty cool one.
How about Ovechkin's celebration too? Diving over. I know you're not an Ovi guy, but I think it was maybe a tribute. Who knows?
I don't think so. But maybe. Here's your next one, Tom.
So this is the Brandy Chastain, the overtime or the penalty kick winner for the Women's World Cup in LA. And this is a photograph that was on the cover of Sports Illustrated, and another photograph that there's many different angles of it, but this has become the iconic shot. And this Robert Beck shot this, and as I learned, he was at the game for really taking photos of Bill Clinton in the crowd and walking around the stadium. But when the game went into penalty kicks, he snuck onto the field. He didn't have an on-field pass, and he lined up behind the goal. And they were going to kick him out, but then they said, well, they're starting to kick, so they let him stay there. And then what I did is I took this. This was what the original image of him behind the goal. So you can see where he was and how they cropped that image for being on Sports Illustrated.
Oh, wow.
So he was really in the right place at the right time.
Wow, that's amazing.
Wait, so they cropped in on it, so it's like through the net basically.
Yeah.
Through the net. And he must have had a winder, because there's a bunch of images on Getty Images. Wow. And this was, I think it's not the same image, but it's
it's
one
pretty
of
cool.
The before or after shot. But I think it's pretty cool to see. You can really see where he was now for that shot.
No, definitely.
Tom, let's do your last one too. Let's just do your third one.
So my last one is the Muhammad Ali, Cleveland Williams, that famous photograph. So a Neil Leifer photograph, and it's funny you're talking about Neil Leifer. So he and Walter Yost were kind of friendly rivals at Sports Illustrated.
Yeah.
You listen to Neil Leifer, he always pokes fun at Walter Yost. But this was a photo in the Astrodome, and this apparently they had tried this before with cameras overhead, but the lens they had to use distorted it. But with the Astrodome, they had to raise up the lights over the ring so that the upper deck, the fans up in the upper deck could see the ring. So Leifer mounted a camera on the lighting mount that was up there, and you can see he got a perfect photo. And he says now that you never see a photo like that today because of all the advertising you see in the ring now, and you'll never see a clean white ring with the boxers with the challenger in the black trunks and the champion in the white trunks, the old days. So you'll never see that again.
Super cool photo.
First time Ali ever does the Ali shuffle in that fight too. So great ticket. Amazing, Tom. That's a great one. That's just, again, you brought two out, the Mazeroski home run and that Neil Leifer image of Ali over Williams. That's big. Those are big photographs. I mean, they're so great just because they're such unique angles showing such momentous events. Just very, very cool. And to have the tickets to go with it, it's great. You're up to.
Well, we could do a whole show on Leifer. I mean, this book is just absolutely incredible. Like, take a flip through. I think he's got tons of books, but flip through that one, and you'll see some awesome images. So we'll go with another Leifer one. We got the 1973 Kentucky Derby. And, that image of Secretariat is shown just kind of everywhere. When you Google him, like that's the first thing that comes up, and it's pretty cool because Lifer was able to follow him to each of the three legs of the Triple Crown and get really three iconic images, each of those. And yeah, I mean it's just a
No,
incredible
no other
incredible
horses.
photo.
No
Yeah.
other horses.
And in the blue, I mean the blue and the the reddish color of the horse. I mean it's just like the coloring on it. Everything is just awesome about that photo. So he's just like, I mean, Lifer is just absolutely incredible photographer, and he's been at some of the most iconic events in sports history. So I'll do. Do you have the
Yeah,
Kellen Winslow?
this is the last one I have for
Okay,
you.
good. Yeah, Epic in Miami,
Yeah. So,
and being carried off the field after dealing with dehydration. It was scorching temperatures down in Miami. It's the game is called the Epic in Miami for a reason. It also called the game that no one should have lost because they basically just all left it on the field. I think Kellen Winslow had like 166 yards and a touchdown. He actually blocked the field goal to send the game to overtime. And then they're carrying him off the field, and he to win that game. And it's a number 4, I think, on NFL's list of 100 greatest games. And they go on to play in another game on that list, and an iconic game, and go from scorching temperatures to freezing cold and play in the Freezer Bowl and lose that game. So, yeah, pretty crazy image, awesome ticket. And yep, that was my last one.
is that a full?
No, this is a stub. But it's enough of a stub that you can see the bottom says Orange Bowl Miami, which
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure was on there because sometimes it's hard to date these sometimes without the dates on them. The NFL playoff tickets never had dates on them, so got to be careful sometimes.
Yeah, if you talk to living here in South Florida, if you talk to old Miami Dolphins fans, that's one of the games they never want to talk
Yeah,
about.
I'm sure. Yeah,
Still
yeah.
is a tough day for
It
them.
was also a battle.
Yeah. So my last one, I'm going to do it real quick. Again, very modern image, very new image. But for me, and sorry guys, become a pretty
Oh my
big image.
God.
It's super cool.
He's gonna end the show on this
Yeah.
after all of that.
Oh man,
Wow.
I thought it was
Wow.
gonna be.
I might leave. I might leave early. I think everyone else, look, the numbers are dropping right now. Look at this. The numbers are dropping. They stuck around for an hour to see this. Oh my gosh.
Maybe Jalen Carter giving a mouthful to Patrick Mahomes in the last Super Bowl, and you can't get Super Bowl tickets anymore. I saw this on eBay. I don't really know. I mean, I was at the parade, and I don't know that I saw anyone wearing one of these, but it was kind of cool, unless someone made it in their garage. But I'm going to say it was at the parade, and it's a VIP pass to the.
That's cool.
It's got like a football strap. I don't know if that's real, but
Yeah, they bought that on Etsy, but it's okay.
well, you know what? I'm excited around my neck at the Super Bowl parade and all that good stuff.
I thought it was
Pretty
going to
cool.
be the Saquon Barkley backward jump photo.
There could be that too. Saquon flying. That's another great one as well from the season. So, yeah. Well, I got to tell you guys, what a great show.
Definitely.
I do this with you guys all night, and I know this is our second part to the series. I know we're going to have another one. We're kind of talking about what it's going to be, but you guys are welcome on Stub Love Live anytime, solo, together. I told you guys today, maybe you guys should host the show one night, and I don't have to be on. I can just listen and watch. You guys are on so often, but it's so worthwhile. I love having you. You guys are great for the community of tickets. The fact that every day you guys are posting stuff on Instagram that's ticket related. The hobby needs you. We love it. We're thrilled for it, and we thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah,
And good night.
Yeah. Episode 53 of Stub Love Live is done. Tom Daly, Chase Maz, thanks so much for being on. Have a good night.